everyone. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. In case you haven't known, this is Concrete to Canvas, and I'm very excited to welcome our VIP pop-up guest, Erik. Let's give him a warm welcome.
Hi. Hello. Did I turn this thing on? Test.
There you go.
All right, we're in here.
So to give you some background on this exhibition, this is the 5th iteration of Concrete to Canvas that we've done as a gallery. We actually debuted West Chelsea Contemporary as a rebrand from Russell Collection in the year 2020. And the first show that we did marked our turning the page into a new chapter of contemporary art, specifically with a focus on the roots of graffiti and street art. From that inaugural exhibition, we've had 5 since then, and every year we seek to do something a little bit different to develop the narrative of not only where street art started with some historical pieces, but also what happens to artists from these really strong roots. Many of the artists on the walls that you see today, their entire studio practice, it has been informed by this idea of being self-taught or learning in crews. The idea that a lot of their practice in the early years of their lives was illegal and persecuted. Many artists, in fact, have shared that it was a form of self-expression and rebellion for them, even rejecting art school, rejecting formalized training, and finding solace and companionship in other artists who were going out on the streets and expressing themselves. And so today, where we're sitting in 2025, I can't believe it, I'm really, really excited to have Erik bring his work to the table, because Erik is someone who I've admired for a long time. And I know several of you probably can speak to this as well, but Erik is a champion for the arts here in Austin. I've watched his work develop over the last several years, and you said it best last night and when we first started speaking about this exhibition, that your voice has really started to come through. And so this afternoon we'll explore a little bit about who he is as an artist, but also about the work that you see surrounding us today and kind of where that came from. So first, Erik, thanks for giving us a shot and being here.
Oh yeah, thank you. So I'm like a little nervous right now, but yeah, I appreciate you all coming out. This means a lot. This is really cool to even be in this space at all. Super grateful and humble and stoked to be here, to be honest. So this is really neat just to kind of, yeah.
Well deserved.
Yeah, thank you.
Too.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's kick it back to like early roots. So when did you first start making art? What was kind of your journey into the art world?
Sure. Yeah. I've always drawn, doodle, whatever, just drawing cartoons, really. I loved drawing Looney Tunes when I was growing up forever. But actually, fast forward, I played college baseball for OU. And it was after that kind of ended that I actually had time to pursue my other interests. So I was in grad school that I started to pick up other mediums and actually start to paint my characters that I was always drawing. And in that time, when I was having just a flat out identity crisis, I found a lot of peace doing that, and realized that this kind of fed me in a way that sports and everything else did. So it was kind of something that I felt like I had neglected for so long, just because I didn't have the time to pursue those interests, given what my commitments were to the sport and how that was in college at that level. So there was when it really sparked, and I had some friends in my friend group really kind of push that ball even further down the hill once they saw what it meant to me and kind of what it did for myself in that time. Yeah.
So once you hung up the cleats, which is a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
I did it myself.
Yeah.
You took up, art really and grabbed it full force. So at the time, you weren't in Austin, is that right?
Yeah, I was in Oklahoma City, actually. I was, of all things, I was selling blinds, shades, and shutters commercially. So that's very sexy, right? Yeah, I was bidding commercial projects and kind of learning the game and understanding, the lineage of dealing with contractors, developers, the whole thing. So it was kind of cool because it opened my eyes to that structure of as painting started to grow, I started to understand maybe that is something I wanted to pursue. I had a business acumen, so I was like, what helps foster my creativity, but also pushes me professionally? And I found a company in Spray TX here in Austin that was a mural company. They did commercial artwork. And I was like, well, I can go sell for them I know the game, the players of the game are all the same in terms of the structure of that. So I found a way to get here and find a job within the art scene so that I could just be around it and put myself in it. Regardless if it was me for my art or not, I felt like it could serve me in some way just by being around that community and doing that.
And what I know about you is you more often than not would put others above yourself. And so when you were with Spray TX, what kind of experience did you have with the Austin art community?
Oh, it was awesome. And it
Yeah.
was the first time in my life that I actually I never felt more like myself in that space. And I was finally being accepted by my community within it. So it was like light shot out of my mouth into the sky kind of thing. It was like one of those like big moments. And also I was around really beautiful people in terms of like how they created what they created. And I was able to kind of learn a different skill set of like contracts, running these large scale projects and seeing these artists work in these spaces. So it kind of gave me like a fast track to like an incubator, of course, like of sorts to really help me develop and be more well-rounded when it comes to my art.
And so at the time, you're probably doing large-scale murals and commercial projects. What was the transition like going from large-scale murals to really developing your studio practice and painting on canvas and other surfaces?
The cool part was I didn't really do a lot of the mural work. I mean, I helped on some because my friends would then hire me out to be hands on some of the projects, which was really cool. But for the most part, I just kept working at it, kind of like pulling and just talking with my community. My community is my biggest inspiration. There's a lot of artists in the room today that we just talked art. We're able to have a really safe space to kind of just talk ideas, talk concepts, and just really just a private place to be a little more vulnerable with those peers, to really talk about like what I'm trying to get from it, what it means to me, and then what I'm trying to do with it, kind of help round all those things out for me. So
that's really important. And when I first approached you about this show, you showed me an incredible sketchbook. So tell us a little bit more about your process, start to finish. How do you start the idea for a painting? Where does it come from? And how do you get to a piece such as the pieces behind us?
I do a lot of doodling. I draw on everything. I mean, you go in my house and there's a lot going on every piece of paper, which is probably why my teachers kind of pushed that skill set too, because I would doodle on pretty much anything and everything. So my process is I just dive into the sketchbook and I just start sketching. It's just characters after character after character. And a lot of it can be derivative a little bit, but it's just the form of just like kind of getting out whatever it is I'm feeling in that time. And then from that kind of chaotic, just scratching around, I'll find shapes that speak to me and different, pieces, even if they're like 3 or 4 inches big. And I'm like, I really like how this feels, how the composition is, like everything that works with it. And then I'll take that and then take a whole new page out and then do progressions of like that. So I'll kind of redraw the core of that piece, that foundation of that piece, and just re-sketch it multiple times. And then I've learned that that's kind of helped me flush out like a body that is very much linear in terms of just like feeling like it just belongs together. Or sometimes what's really neat is that I'll go back 5 years into sketchbooks and revisit different designs that I do. So I'm able to approach it with this new perspective and this new skill set, but looking at older sketches and kind of, redoing that. So it's like allowing my sketches to have more than just one life of like being painted once, you're done. Like I've taken the far right painting in that green. On the right eye, you can see like a kind of a form and a shape around it going down. The painting to the left, you can see a similar shape going down, although it's painted in a different way. So it's also able to view and dissect and like look at one different kind of piece of imagery and paint it from different perspectives and give you multiple pieces from that, so that it kind of like extends the voice of that. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like extends the voice of just what that is on paper. So it's
well, I know that a lot of your practice is really intuitive, and so it sounds like when you're sketching, and from what we're able to even see in the artwork around us, you're not married to this idea of once I create something, then it lives its life and it's finite. It's almost trapped within a box or in a canvas, but you're actually able to rework it and continually allow that shape to evolve. Where do you think this trust in your intuition came from in your artistic practice? Essentially, because no one was telling you this is good art, this is bad art as you're learning it. Right. So I don't see a lot of intuitive painting these days. What does it feel like to work from your intuition?
I think that was kind of a goal of mine. I I think it was doing a lot of live painting here in Austin really helps like you have to finish a piece in 3 hours and still be proud of like how developed it is. So I like the fact that I could paint quickly, and my shapes are kind of formless in the fact that you don't really know when it's done. Like I can kind of tell you, and then you just kind of have to accept that. And I like that because it doesn't really put a box around me to be like, no, you have to finish this to finish it. So I've kind of modeled my work around that so that I can play with it in any way I like, and you still find a way to enjoy it without me being so confined to just like, I don't know, it's just like, it's more freeing for myself to be able just to like not think about it too much while I'm doing it. It was kind of like premeditated to the point where now I can sketch in my style and really just pump out really anything. So it just kind of allows me to free up to really kind of get in that space that I'm trying to pull from, I guess, a little easier.
What's the evolution of your style been like over the past several years? I know we have pieces physically here in the gallery that represent almost different chapters or different versions of your voice. How would you describe, where you've been, what you've learned, and the body of work that's presented around us here today?
Oh man, that's a good question. My older work was a lot more, I guess, illustrative. I mean, this feels like it too a little bit, but like I did a lot of black line work for my pieces. So like everything, all the shapes that you see in these works, I would do like hard black lines, like if it's a cartoon or something like that, with a lot of detail work as well. So my goal over the past year was to strip all of that away, because there was kind of a safety net for myself. Like when you get in between these shapes, it's like, oh, I mess up in between these colors. It's like the black line fixes it. So it was kind of my safety net, my go-to. It's an easy way to like just eliminate all of what I thought was imperfections. And with this kind of work, there is nowhere to hide in that. So you have to be a little more clean, at least like a little more intentional about what I'm trying to do. And also just kind of got me out of my comfort zone as well, just trying to let go of so many things that I did find comfort in my style. And also just with the intent to soften the work, to not make it so graphic, I guess. Yeah.
One thing that Risk said when he was here for the beginning of Concrete to Canvas was this idea that, especially being influenced by graffiti, he was always obsessed with this idea of perfection and being, clean lines and tightness, and that the idea of kind of loosening up or softening was really challenging for him. And it sounds like it's something you relate to.
Yes, I'm very clean. I'm very particular about my style. My community's helped, kind of watching them paint and how they move paint around and how they approach it. That's definitely helped loosen me up a bit. But yeah, I mean, I'm pretty rigid in my process in terms of like what I like to see. I tried to be loose with some things, but it's still pretty difficult for myself, to be completely honest. Yeah.
What does the process of art making look like for you? Like, describe your studio. Are you listening to music? Do you have paint all around?
Yeah, I mean, I share a studio with some of these guys here, and it's really just a lot of like my perfect case scenario. I mean, yeah, definitely loud music for sure. That varies depending on mood. I go sad cowboy to hip hop to, punk or like doom metal. I mean, I'm all over the place, to be completely honest. Or a podcast is kind of lovely from time to time, but yeah, I definitely like my music. I don't like headphones. I kind of like being able to move in my space, and yeah, that's pretty much how I like to set up.
And your process is pretty intuitive as well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously you have the shapes that you've been sketching, but even selecting paint colors and highlights and shadows. Tell us how you kind of arrive at, okay, this piece is complete. How do you know when it's done?
Being an artist like myself, I'm broke a lot, to be completely blunt, but so resources is pretty much will drive that a lot. So what I have in my studio will kind of dictate the color palettes that I use for my pieces most times. Or sometimes I'm like, man, I'm painting a lot of warm colors the past 3 weeks, and I'll just change it up based on that. Not necessarily I want to paint this blue piece. It's just kind of really random. And as I paint my pieces, none of the colors are predetermined in my work. Once I put one down, then I start playing the balance and composition game of like orange here, orange there, like making sure everything is breathing well without having too much dense of the same color or, hues around each other. So then as I'm working through the piece, I'm just kind of naturally just kind of building that out as I go.
I love how easy it is, and I don't mean this easy as in, let me just say this. The way you describe finding balance and composition in your piece is just, it's so intuitive for you. It's so natural for you. As someone who's not an artist, I find your ability to just look at something and know what it feels like or to feel balanced fascinating.
I think that's the part that I can just let go and not overthink.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of what, speaking to risks of not being so tight, I think in those moments, it's nice just to be like, this is what my intuition's telling me, run with it. And then obviously if you don't like it at the end of it, you can always fix it. It's not that big a deal. You can go back. Or I drag my studio mates in. I'm like, hey, come in here. They look at it, they tell me something. 90% of the time, we don't even listen to each other. But just having that, just that second person to be like, yay or nay, even if you agree with it or not, it reaffirms what you're trying to tell yourself too with it. So it's just like one of those things as well. So
I love that you trust a lot of people to tell you about your work as well, like to get other eyeballs on it, and you're not sort of protective over that.
No, it helps also get me out of my comfort zone, because some of them are like, why don't you just try this next time? I'm like, okay, and then I actually end up liking it, which I don't tell them either that I like it. It's one of those things. But yeah, so it's like, it's nice to get like actual feedback from peers that that I respect. So it's just, and they're so close to me in the studio, so it's like, let me steal you for a minute and help me, because I'm like struggling trying to get through this obstacle within the work, and a lot of times they kind of help just push that through, and or give me an idea. I mean, the middle piece right there, I was struggling trying to figure out where I wanted it to sit on the canvas, and I pulled in my studio mate Xander that's here, and he was like, I like it like this, and I was like, dang. And then I ended up doing it, and I ended up loving it, so
That's
it's just
awesome.
like, even that simple of like them just like giving their 2 cents it really kind of helps. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about your process and the actual mark making. Do your pieces have any particular meanings or themes that might not be apparent to viewers upon first glance?
I guess like to go deep with it, metaphorical masks that we wear in life, I've always loved that. But to just be like straight up, it's like I show so many different faces to different people throughout the day. I was always infatuated with that psychology, and I was younger and like really in that kind of headspace of just like thinking it was really neat that no matter what faces you show your mother, your significant other, your friends, when you're angry, some things you're not proud of, they're all, they make up who you are at the end of the day. It's something that's always shifting. And there's a lot of things I've done in life that I'm embarrassed about or happy about, and all of that. And my work kind of speaks to myself, kind of like self-portraits done over and over and over again that help me deliver kind of what I'm feeling in that moment and that time. So most of my work is named after the fact, which, very rarely do I name pieces prior to. So I think that's just another piece of like how I like to move and kind of keep, I don't know, it just kind of makes it seem like it's just right now, rather than pulling from that or this happened to me. It's kind of just taking all of that and just kind of whatever comes out from that is kind of what
Well, it feels like a lot of your not only practice of making, but almost discovering the work as you're making it. You're not premeditating a meaning. You're kind of seeing where you arrive and then saying, okay, it's finished.
Yeah.
That's what this is.
Yeah.
The piece behind us that I really love, Hopeless Pour Over. Tell us, start to finish, how did this piece come about?
This is one of the few pieces that I named prior, because I painted a show earlier this year that was kind of driven, like, obviously this world is crazy, like right now. The life that we're living right now, I mean, obviously you look on your phone for 2 seconds and it's just weird. And so I was talking with a friend. He thinks that to get dark, we're in a downward trend in society in general, like as a grand out, really zoomed out view. And I thought it was really cool to think about. So like, and also we were just discussing like how crazy it is in these times and what are those things that kind of keep us sane? What rituals do we have? So the show was named Dystopian Rituals. So my biggest ritual is a pour over coffee in the morning. So that's kind of why you have the zoomed in piece. There's no breathing room. It's not a silhouette. You're kind of submerged in that. And so this kind of speaks to my morning routine. So that's kind of the Hopeless Pour Over, which is a little more dark to kind of fit the theme of the show. But I don't feel that way. I'm not like bombed pouring my coffee, but it just kind of gave me a feeling that I had, but that's kind of the reasoning behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just kind of speaks to my routine and one of my many rituals that kind of helps keep me balanced and neutral in this kind of weird space that we live in today.
I think that's great, honestly. And that I do just want to point out that I think it's brave and bold that you're willing to depict things like that. I know you're going to contradict me and say, no, it's not.
Yeah, I don't know.
But as someone who's sitting here enjoying artwork,
Yeah.
it's amazing to see, and it's really validating to see certain emotions and certain expressions
Sure.
that I feel as well, and not this sort of rosy, this is what life is supposed to look like.
Right. Yeah. And most of my faces, like you'll notice, like even in my old work, there's never any teeth or smiles. And my eyes are always pretty much even keel. They could look sad if you think about it, but yeah, everything's just very pensive and I don't know if stoic's the right word for it, but it's just kind of me in my neutral like space. Even though I'm like, there's a lot of emotion behind the work, I think I've realized that, and I think that's within my own psychology and something that I may need to talk about in therapy, but I don't know. I realized that I was like, holy shit, there's like nothing smiles. My eyes never change. I was like, I think my therapist would appreciate if I talked about this.
Therapy is important. But I appreciate the fact that your work is very honest.
Yeah.
Oh, I really should put a rosy cheek on this face.
No, and that's the coolest part. This city is pretty easy to take your work and dilute it past the point of recognition, and that's something that I've been very keen on maintaining my voice in my work, regardless of what the consumer wants, and not really caring to that. Yes, we have to care to an extent because we have to make a living, but also really trying to stay strong and like speak paint what I like. I'm painting for myself first. I mean, without art, I don't know who I would be. Between the years, it's been my savior, in so many different ways. So, and just kind of helped me find my own way in this, this world, and kind of help me stay balanced, and also something to lean on when I was just like not in the best headspaces coming up. It kind of was my crutch to kind of get me through a lot of dark stuff, and also just I feel most like myself when I'm in the studio painting and like yelling at my studio mates for no reason, and just like in that mode of creating is like my absolute favorite. The shows are great, meeting the people, talking about work is awesome, but actually creating the work, and when I'm in like that flow, there's no better high in the world. Yeah.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Hard question. You ready?
Okay. Yeah.
If you could leave collectors and patrons of your artwork, or even viewers of this show, with one thought or one message, what would it be?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask this question. I thought about this earlier today too. I don't. That's so hard because like I don't really hope that you feel a certain thing. I want you to kind of take your own approach to the work and feel whatever you want to feel, despite the name or what maybe energy I'd put into it. So it's kind of leaving it up to you to kind of figure out, what it makes you feel like, and then maybe challenge your perspective a little bit on why it makes you feel a certain way. So it's just kind of trying to, I guess, let people in on something that they might not be accustomed to. Sometimes they look at the work and they don't understand what or why it is, and that's okay. And that's kind of the point. It's like, I don't even know where this stuff comes from in my head. So let alone trying to tell you what to think of it. It's just really hard for me to do.
I think that's a great answer.
Yeah, I don't even know if I answered it, but that's.
Last question for you. Advice for people starting their art career, advice for anyone watching this who says, hey, I want to be in the seat where you're at. What would you say? Oh
man, just work. I mean, if you love what you do and you're doing it, I mean, that's all that really matters. I know it's very cliche to say, but at the same time, there's a lot of artists in the city as well. Like, they're far more open than you think. All of our doors are open if you have questions, and there's so many of us that have like exchanged information, and like no one's trying to gatekeep here. Like, if you have a good question or trying to do something, like everyone's gonna share their resources for the most part. In my community, at least, everyone's very open. So if you do have questions, if you are curious, if you need help with like contracts, or if you have something going on, like whatever the case may be, I'm here to tell you that we're all here to help at any time. So I think that's the biggest pull from our community that I've ever gotten, and I still strongly believe that, in my experience, that it's still like that. There's so many beautiful people and talented people here, sitting in here too right now, that would be so open to sharing those resources and encouraging you to push it, and do it.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And so now it's my duty and honestly privilege to tell you, sitting here watching wherever you are, it's our responsibilities as patrons and collectors to make sure that we support the arts communities. And so, Erik mentioned having what he has in his studio. I mean, this doesn't just happen overnight. This takes years and years of work. It takes a mental and physical toll. So we all have an opportunity, if not a responsibility, to continue buying art, to collect art. And if you don't have the ability to do that right now, tell someone about this show. Tell someone about, the amazing artists that you met this afternoon. I don't know where I would be or where we would be as a society without creatives. And so it's incredibly important, especially as the world gets crazy, that we take good care of them. So, especially for those of you creatives and artists in the audience, thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being here. And for those of us collectors and people who are fortunate enough to patronize, keep doing it. Thank you all for coming.
Thanks,
Erik will be here for the rest of the afternoon. If you have